Cassie, are we to go? I'd like to call this meeting to order this evening. This is the Syracuse City Council regular business meeting scheduled for Lincoln's birthday, February 12th of 2019 at 6 p.m. We're meeting in the council chambers in the municipal building. We welcome you all here and are grateful for your interest in what happens in this room. We will begin with an invocation by Councilwoman Lisa Bingham, and then I've asked Jeff Carnley of Troop 756 of the Wilcox Meadows Ward if he will lead us in a Pledge of Allegiance. Councilwoman.
You want me to go anywhere specific?
No.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we're thankful to meet here in this beautiful building in this wonderful community, grateful for the opportunity that we have to discuss the needs of our citizens. We're thankful for the freedoms which we enjoy and for all those who have made it possible for us to live where we do and to have the blessings and liberties that we do. We pray for those decisions that are to be made this evening, that they will be made in favor of the greater good, that we will be guided and allowed to have discernment and clarity regarding the decisions that need to be made. And we're thankful for the people who have made this possible and for our great community. We say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Jeff?
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jeff. I really appreciate that. For the rest of your knowledge, I've been meeting with this group of young men for now, and we've been talking about the community of Syracuse, how it came to be. We went back 30,000 years, and in about 30 minutes, we brought it up to today, 2019. And we have a real history within our community of how it came to be, and learning about that history is wonderful. And I commend this group of scouts and all scouts that come here and those come looking to learn about the city of Syracuse and what the city does for all of us that are here. That word community is a compound word. It is derived from the word from Latin, which means to share in common, and then the word unity means to come together as one. So what we do when we form a community is we find those things we have in common. We discussed in our meeting earlier that we all have a need to spit in the sink when we brush our teeth. And there are some of us in this room that allow that to happen, huh, Robert? Robert. So welcome these young men and all of you that are here. We're glad to have you here. A couple of times during our meeting we will stop and we will allow public comment. We subscribe to Robert's Rules of Order in our meetings, and this would be an opportunity for you to discuss anything that might be of issue to you in your life as it relates to Syracuse City. We'd love to hear from any. If the agenda item on the agenda involves one of the public hearings, we would ask you to wait till we open that public hearing to talk about that specific issue. So if there is anyone who would like to address the council on any topic other than those that are scheduled for public hearing this evening, we would welcome that at this time. If you would come forward, state your name and your place of residence, and then we will open for 3 minutes for you to speak to the council. Is there anyone who would like to address the council? Hearing and seeing none, I will close the period of public comment. Item number 3 is the presentation of the Syracuse City and the Syracuse Chamber of Commerce Award of Excellence. And I'm going to come down and I'd like to be a little closer to these young people. We'll find out where that came from, and we'll make sure we do. Now, let me tell you a little bit about this award. Some time ago, the Department of Community and Economic Development, along with the Chamber of Commerce here in Syracuse, thought it would be interesting and noteworthy to honor youth scholars in our community. And so each business meeting of each month, which is this first one each month, we take just a minute and honor Syracuse scholars. So those are from our public schools. And tonight we have two that we would like to honor. So let me have come forward. Let me just get this here so I don't mispronounce the name. I need London Barnes. London, will you come forward? And will you join me over here? Did you know that I have Barnes blood? Yeah. My great-grandmother was a Barnes. Yeah. We'll have to sit down and talk. And Preston Haney. Preston, would you come forward? And would you, now, I don't know what it was like in your day. I don't know. The norms are kind of changing, but in my day, the girls went first. Are you still okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm going to read something that I didn't write. This was written by the faculty at her school, and I'd like you to listen carefully. London is an amazing, well-rounded student. She excels in academics, but she is also a wonderful leader at Bluff Ridge Elementary. London exhibits a positive outlook and an attitude that sets a great example for other students. You know, that's kind of the role of a leader, isn't it? Yeah. She is an enthusiastic learner, and her enthusiasm spreads to others in school. She is responsible and reflective. London is unique because she is the whole package. She is bright, intelligent, kind, caring, thoughtful, provocative, helpful. Sounds like the Scout Law, doesn't it? She strives to reach her full potential. London is very involved in ballet. She goes to the Clyde, is that right? Clyde Adams Ballet School 3 times a week. She is also a member of the Student Council. She has been a member of the Hope Squad. London has helped with our school recycling program. She is very involved with her church. She participated in the Martin Luther King Jr. speech contest. She auditioned for a special part in the Nutcracker. London has achieved the 6th grade 40-book goal. She also earned the Think 30 TTM Math Club Award. She has won the school spelling bee. She won a special award for the Martin Luther King Jr. speech contest. She maintains excellent grades. Let's give it up for London. Wow. You got a lot to stand up to, brother. Let's talk about Preston. Preston is one of the best role models Bluff Ridge Elementary has at school. He is not only an example in the classroom, but also in the community. In the classroom, Preston continually gives 100% for every assignment or project that is given to him. His attitude toward his education is always positive, and he always wants to better himself. Preston's positivity and perseverance makes him a unique student. He expects the best of himself and continues to work hard until he reaches his goals. He never lets a setback in his way. He has excellent problem-solving skills to overcome any challenge that comes his way. Preston has been a member and leader of the Bluff Ridge Elementary Hope Squad for the last 2 years. He is also a player for the Syracuse Storm football team. Heard about that team before? Yeah. Is that a good thing, Jeff? A good thing, yeah. Yeah. And his leadership from classroom is present as the leader of the football team he plays for. As a leader of the Bluffridge School Elementary Hope Squad, Preston has created campaigns and opportunities for all students to participate in acts of kindness around the school, as well as supporting other students, being kind to each other and other. In the community, Preston is an active member of his church. Preston academic achievements include Image Math Think 30 Club and placing second in the 2018 Bluffridge STEM Fair. Not a dummy. Let's give it up for Preston, can we? Now, on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce and the Community and Economic Development Department of the city, I have an award here for London as Student of the Month 2019. Your picture will be hung here and in the community center, and we'll show you off for a while. You'll be in the magazine, the community magazine. People will see you there, and you're cute. We also have here a $10 gift card to Google Play. Use it wisely, will you? So, London, on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, and Preston, the same thing for you. Thank you. Let's thank them again. And council, would you come down here with me and congratulate them? And if there are those that would like to take pictures closer, you're welcome to come.
I have to go to all the rest of them.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Then we're going to take pictures over here. I've already got like 30. So we're good.
When I was a kid living here in Syracuse, we used to raise sugar beets. I think kids is a better change, don't you? I think that's a better investment. And boy, I'll tell you what, we have some sterling kids right there. Thank you, both of you, London and Preston. We just so admire you. Will you continue on with what you're doing? And the thing that I am most impressed with is your ability to lift others. That's what a leader does. Thank you so much. We have another award that we would like to present. Our fire chief would like to come and make an award to the fire department.
Mayor and council, thanks for the time to come in here and give an award to one of the longest standing members of our department. Deputy Chief Hamblin has been awarded the Utah Supervisory Fire Officer designation as outlined by the International Association of Fire Chiefs and adopted by the Utah Commission on Fire Officer Designation. This award and this recognition takes hundreds of hours of a combination of training and education and experience. He's one of the greatest guys on our department and a great asset to our city. So tonight we wanted to recognize him with this. The state brought up a nice framed certificate and then a pin that he can wear and have. So Joe, would you please come up? Thank you. speech.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Joe, we really appreciate you. We appreciate all you stand for, and we couldn't be prouder of this fire department. They are, in my recent past, I've had an opportunity to deal with a fire department and with EMS and EMT and those things. I'll tell you, when you really need them, you really need them. And they're good people. They are good people. Thank you, Chief. Appreciate that. Council, we're on item 5, approval of minutes, December 11th, 2018 business meeting, December 11th, 2018 work session, and January 8th, 2019 business meeting. Are there any corrections or anything there? If not, I would look for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as listed.
I have a motion by Councilman Peterson. Do I have a second?
Go ahead. I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilwoman Bolduc. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that sounded unanimous to me. Council, we have some items of common consent. I will discuss them briefly so that the audience understands what we're talking about. Each year in the February business meeting, we all have assignments other than what you see here, where we represent the city outside of the city for some of us, and some of us within the city to different groups. In a work session in January, we went through that and made those assignments to each other. So Resolution R19-03 is a resolution that we've placed on the common consent calendar because we all agreed to that back in January. But we need to enact that this evening, and we placed it on the common consent calendar. Item B, proposed ordinance 1903, amending Chapter 2.45 of the Syracuse City Municipal Code pertaining to the appointment procedures, particularly those involving when there is a replacement of a member of the City Council. We made some minor changes to that appointment process. We don't just make those things up when they come up. We follow a policy and a procedure. We amended that procedure, and we're all in agreement with it, so we've placed that on a common consent calendar. Council, I would look for a motion to approve.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to ask that we remove item A from common consent.
Okay. Have a second?
There doesn't need a
Doesn't
consent.
need one? Okay. Councilman Mon has asked that we remove it. Okay. Item B, can we leave B there?
I'll make a motion that we approve by common consent ordinance 1903.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, item B was there. Let's move item A now to our calendar and discuss item A.
I'm concerned because as we were reviewing this, we talked about members that were being appointed to in-city councils for the life of their term. We've never done that before in-city, and reflective of the actual meeting, that's not what we discussed. So I have a problem that we didn't discuss that with the fair option, that is not a lifetime appointment position.
I guess why we bring it up in this, because those appointments are not on that list specifically. I would actually recommend that, I'm okay with approving item A, but I do think we should revisit the ordinance where I guess we all misread something and we need to go back and amend the ordinance. I think you're talking about the Parks Committee?
The Parks Committee internally is not a lifetime appointment.
Right.
And it never has been. If the record is reflective of that, the record is wrong. And it shouldn't be that way. So we should discuss that appropriately, not being a lifetime appointment.
Agree, but I think we would need to address that specific committee guideline ordinance and set that up, as opposed to, those aren't addressed here. If we want to add those in and amend that specific.
I'm happy to approve this without those two assignments, only because we have to address those assignments appropriately.
Agreed.
And just a comment to clarify to the public that we're not talking about a lifetime appointment, we're talking about the term of their service on the council, the remaining of that term. It would be quite the daunting task to say, for the rest of your life, you have to show up.
But I understand that we talked about that, but in this particular document that we're approving, it doesn't say that. We're only approving it for a year.
What we're approving is based on a discussion that said that that was the case. So, and that was inaccurate.
Like I said, I see what you're saying, but I think that's a separate discussion, because I think this document only appoints us for the rest of this year.
Well, I'm not going to approve something and then say, well, see, now we don't have to discuss it because you agreed to it.
Well, this right here doesn't appoint that, they're not even, the Parks Committee is not even on this list.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
It is. It's here.
Advisory Committee O.
Okay, I stand corrected.
As far as the liaisons are, not the entire board, also for clarification to the public.
But I do agree that my understanding when we set up the Parks Committee was that would be a rotating position, so that each council member could have an opportunity to serve on that committee if they desired.
There was some clarification given in our previous work session, if maybe that reference can be found again. I mean, that's where this all derives from.
Brody?
Yeah, Mayor, so we're just looking at the ordinance now, so it talks about 2 council members being appointed to the Parks Advisory Committee, and then it sets terms for all members. So there are terms, depending on what seat they were, it's probably either 1, 2, or maybe 3-year terms. Again, if you want to amend that, you can. If you want to all make just the 2 council member appointments 1-year terms, I would clarify that in the ordinance and do that through an ordinance amendment.
I agree.
We have never had in-council assignments be more than reviewable yearly. So outside, yes, when we're assigned to outside groups, we're sworn in for the term of our office. But we never have done that inside, and I don't want to change that.
Right. Yeah, and what I'm saying is currently it would be based on whatever term their seat sits on, which may be 1, 2, or possibly 3 years. And if you want to change that, the proper procedures to probably amend the ordinance and clarify that, so that we don't stumble through this next year.
Can we put that ordinance on work session to clean that up?
Council, looks like we need maybe a motion to table.
I would make a motion to approve everything except for those assignments, if you'd like to go there.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
If you're saying that those just come out of here totally, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, they just come out. And we'll have to discuss that appropriately in a work session.
Okay.
When the positions are clarified.
Yep.
Okay, would you restate your motion, Dave?
My motion is to approve the assignments with the omission of, let me find the exact letters, O and Z.
And you let your second stand, Councilman Savage? Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. Let's put that to a work session and we'll work the ordinance. Okay, thank you. On item number 7, public hearing, a proposed ordinance 1902 amending the impact fee facilities plan and the impact fee analysis for stormwater, which involves both Steve and Robert. Would you like to do a little presentation before we open the public hearing?
Sure.
You want to do it together?
Yeah.
Want to waltz?
We're a team. All right. In your packet, you'll see on the 3rd page reference to Utah Code. which specifies when a city can charge an impact fee and what process we have to go through in order to do so. For the public that are here, impact fees are those fees that we can charge to new development to offset the cost to improve or upgrade our systems to handle that development. With this code, we have two different plans in place. The first one is the impact fees facility plan. The second one is the impact fee analysis. I'll let Robert describe a little bit more about what the impact fees facility plan is.
So the plans were just recently completed. These are an update from the plan that we currently have in place, which is 12 years old. So this would replace that plan. The stormwater impact fee facility plan describes all of the needs that the city would have related to stormwater upgrades in order to accommodate new growth that comes into our city. A lot of the new growth we are seeing happens to be kind of more on the outskirts of our city, predominantly on the west, where a lot of our ditches are flowing water. So a lot of that would become piped with new developments and that sort of thing. So this plan describes some of those needs. We also have the impact fee analysis, which takes the projects from the impact fee facility plan and analyzes the financial part of it, spreads it out over a period of time to determine what the impact fee should become based on the projects. Did that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay.
So this fee that we are proposing, or from the study that we've performed, is based on a per acre analysis. And you'll see in the packet there that the proposed fee would go to $7,488.65 per acre. We have a list of comparatives to other cities in this document as well. One thing to note is our current fee, the $13.53, is based on 1/4 of an acre, and it only includes the R1 through R4 designations. If you look up above, you can also see that we used to charge based on type of development, so it did not include your general commercial, and some of those actually had a higher impact fee for those type of developments. So when you look at the fee and the potential of it going up, it's not as big of an increase if you include all of the development types. And so we basically, in our impact fee analysis, charge it based on 1/4 of an acre. The 1/4 of an acre fee is the $18.72.16. With this, because the fee would potentially go up, there is a 90-day waiting period. We can approve the impact fee enactment ordinance tonight. We can approve the consolidated fee schedule in the next item on the agenda, but these fees would not be implemented until 90 days from the date of approval.
Okay, you good? Okay, for those of you who understood that, wonderful. I'm going to put it in my language. Those of you who have lived here for quite a while have been paying taxes, and you have helped the city build. When you built your home, there were impact fees scheduled, and you paid those with your mortgage. You've been paying those impact fees. When somebody else comes in and builds, they're going to impact the city in its traffic, in its water resources, in its public safety issues, and in its storm drain, and in all of those things, it creates an impact on the city. So when someone builds a new home, there is an impact on you and I that comes, and they're going to impact the city in a way that they need to catch up with us in what we've been doing. So this impact fee is for new growth, for new homes, as they are developed, not as a tax on residents as they are now. Well, that's what impact fees are. Now, anytime we deal with money in the city, we have to bring that to a hearing. Anytime we deal with finances or anything we deal with anything with money, we have to open this to a public hearing for comments from the public. Therefore, I now declare, for the purposes of evaluating Ordinance 19-2, amending an impact fee facilities plan and an impact fee analysis for stormwater, that we are now in public hearing. If you would like to address the council on this particular issue, we invite you to come forward, state your name and place of residence, and if you'll come to the podium here and use the microphone. Our meeting is being recorded, and it is also being broadcast. Hearing and seeing none, I will close public hearing. Council, your preference.
I just want to be clear here, because the way this is worded, I was a little confused that it seems to be that we have a different schedule for different size acreage, and then we have one fee in this fee schedule. So are we charging a flat fee for every development parcel now? That's what we're saying?
Correct. It would change from a resident or development type to one flat fee, regardless of the
Regardless
development.
of size.
Just based on the acreage alone.
And that fee would change each year. It'd increase, right, Steve?
Correct.
Yeah, I understand that part of it, and that makes sense. But what I'm concerned about is, do not different larger parcels or different types of parcels, for example, a commercial parcel, isn't that different of an impact than, say, the impact of a home?
That's my question as well. I mean, for some reason, we did this historically, and I don't know what that was, but I'm hoping you do. Why did we have it broken apart like this before?
Now, it's really quick though, the comparative to other cities is based on a quarter acre. You realize that?
Yeah,
It
so
says
that
that
would be
on the
second
graph.
highest on the comparative list.
Right, I understand. So, okay, go ahead with their questions.
So storms function the same regardless of what zone it falls in. Definitely commercial, industrial type have larger rooftops and parking lots, so they do generate more stormwater outflows from the property. However, our ordinance controls those flows with the requirement of detention on site for each of those properties. And some of the, well, all of the commercial properties we have in our city have detention built in, either under a parking lot, or you'll see a grass lined basin. And then the outflow pipe is sized either with an orifice or a pipe small enough to meter the flow of water based on it's a 0.2 cubic foot per second flow rate going into our storm system, which is supposed to match what we typically see in an undeveloped piece of land, is about 0.2 cubic feet per second flow.
So I accept that the new facility is not maybe going to or not clog the system with an abundance of flow, because they have other things built in. But those other things that they have built in, like a detention or routing drainage in multiple sites, all of that is additional maintenance that the city picks up. So it is in fact a higher impact on the city than a smaller property.
Usually the regional basins is what the city will maintain. On these commercial and industrial, those we would require that they are privately maintained. We would hold an easement to be able to access the basin, to inspect and observe and just be sure that they are being maintained by that property owner, and they sign an agreement with the city saying that they will perpetually maintain it themselves.
So what you're saying there is that our legal obligation isn't there. But I also happen to know that your crew is amazing, and they go above and beyond and always help people with these issues, even if it's not their job, which is great. That's why they have a really great reputation, that they reach out, help people in trouble. I want them to continue that. But these properties are a higher impact. That's if we're going to do that work, that maintenance work, or if we're going to be responsible for extra pipes, extra waste detention, somewhere in there we have a higher impact. So I can't see that somebody on a 20-acre commercial parcel has no greater impact than, say, an R1 plot, or even worse, what this is set up as a standard of a quarter acre. It's just not the same.
Mayor?
Yes.
I just want to make sure there's a common understanding that the fee is a per acre fee. Is that correct?
Oh.
That's correct. It's a per
It's a
acre.
per acre fee.
Yes.
Right.
I was trying to.
Okay,
Yep,
that's a
that's
really
right.
big difference.
Yeah, flat. So yeah, you mentioned flat fee.
I did.
Yeah,
The
and
way it's
it
listed
is.
here,
Yeah,
that's what I
it's flat
understood.
per acre, not flat.
Okay,
Or 172 per
All clarification, right?
that's a
Yeah.
big clarification.
Thank you, Brody.
So that would mean now that a commercial property of 10 acres is actually paying more
Yes.
than
yes.
a 1 acre lot. Okay, I'm not concerned now.
Plus, help me understand too, Robert, that developer will also, in going through the planning commission and engineering, may have to do site improvements that were gonna cost them money too.
Absolutely, they would.
So, yeah.
Yes.
And
So I guess back to my original question, why did we have it broken apart like this before?
you can look at other people's
That
beds
is
in the
actually a
past.
really good question. I couldn't answer that. That was,
I'm not sure either.
I don't know.
And just to make sure you all
Yeah.
saw that in the packet, it says under the proposed fee, it says storm impact fee equals 7,488.65 per acre.
Yeah.
Or, okay, just to make sure.
I understood all of that. What I
Okay.
don't understand
All right.
is
Why?
why we thought it was necessary to do this by zone, because apparently someone thought the impact for each of these zones was different, but
Yeah.
sounds like we've lost that history.
Chair recognizes Brody.
So the typically when these impact fees were set by land use, especially a stormwater fee, it's a function of impervious surface that those developments typically have. So if you look down the current fee, you'll notice that things like agriculture and residential have a lower per acre fee,
And that makes sense to me.
and commercial and industrial tends to have a lot of parking, which creates more runoff.
Instead of
Yeah.
absorbs.
And you don't have to do it that way. This is a more of a blended rate that kind of just blends it so that the impacts are covered as the city grows, no matter what the use is.
I would suspect that the current way, maybe is not considering detention being metered out, flows being metered out from detention. I'm not certain if that was the reason behind it or not, but
So I guess the thing that I'm concerned about is, let's go back to the agriculture, because that's a good one. Do we maintain ditches?
yes, some ditches, not all, but some.
But if it's going through a private property,
If it's a private property ditch, no, we do not.
But there are open ditches that are a part of our system.
Absolutely.
so I guess I'm just curious about, so if someone wants to come out here and farm, I just don't, it feels like they're less of an impact on our secondary system than, say, a business, for example, going back to the business. And they're going to own 50 acres,
Well, I have,
and that's a huge impact for a farmer.
I have an example to go off of this is like, say for instance, the golf course has an open ditch system that makes sure that our homes around that area don't flood. So it's really important that that area is maintained appropriately and
And I totally get that. I'm just concerned about somebody wanting to buy a 50-acre farm, and they're going to have a $50,000 bill just to even get their lot, to even do anything.
Which if they're gonna put in nothing but parking lot
That,
and hardtop roofs, which is gonna drain 100% into the system.
right.
That would be a different impact.
If they're buying a farm to do a farm, it's not a change in impact. If they're buying it to develop it,
Yeah, so
I don't know how you develop it different for an agriculture,
yeah, in A1, it would be like if they're building a barn. But I get what you're saying, because the barn is usually a very small percentage of the entire,
On a 50-acre field.
yeah. A1, you can build residential in A1 too, so it'd be for, what is it,
You build
1
one
acre,
house.
yeah.
So I guess I don't feel like we can do, I think there are exceptions to this. I don't feel like, I think blended works for a lot of these, but not for all of them. I feel like we still need to make exceptions for agriculture and some of these other types of uses that we want to still be going on in Syracuse, and not make it too expensive for us.
so what,
Sounds like Paul wants to chime in.
So in the Impact Fee Act, there is a provision that allows the city to go below the fees if the circumstances are unusual like that. So you can, what? You can write it into the fee. It might be difficult. We'll have to send it back to Zions and have them craft something that's appropriate. But there is an existing mechanism in the state code that allows you to deviate from that.
So if we can accept agriculture, is there some other business you're thinking of? Because I can't think of.
Agriculture was the biggest one. I still think that a parking lot actually will have more impact on,
Oh, sure, but
on a sewer system than a group of homes. And maybe I'm completely wrong in that because I am not an expert on this. So, Robert, you could probably correct me on that.
No, you're right. It definitely has more runoff from a parking. Obviously, size for size, right? It's a square foot per square foot of impervious area is what it is. So
I'm okay if we do kind of a blended of commercial industrial, a blended of residential, and leave agriculture at a low rate because I feel like those are three very different scenarios. I guess that's just me. I don't think I can approve this as
Per acre residential makes complete sense because the same acreage is what it is.
Yeah.
But I agree with Jordan, agriculture is not the same.
so would we have to go to Zions to have that adjusted, or can we make the adjustments?
There's actually already a clause in the IFA in 4.3 that talks about adjustment of fees. It does say the council may adjust either up or down to the standard impact fees at the time the fee is charged in order to respond to unusual circumstances in specific cases and ensure that the fees are imposed fairly.
And I think the situations that you're thinking about are pretty rare.
But even like a five acre.
No,
You're talking about agriculture.
agriculture.
But like,
I want three rates: one for agriculture, one for residential, one for commercial industrial.
but I do think even a 5 acre lot, you know, where you would do some farming on, would be different in its own way. I don't have a problem with accepting out the agriculture. I don't know if there's a big enough difference to separate the commercial from the residential. What do you think, Robert?
Well, what we have now, what the proposal is for the 7488 per acre is higher than all of the residential zones are currently. They span right now from about 4,700 up to 6,000. It is, however, lower than the industrial and commercial, which is up around 10 or 11,000 per acre. So,
And I'm a little uncomfortable with that because I don't want us to be on the high end because we're subsidizing the commercial.
right, yeah. What was my thought?
I mean, our houses shouldn't have to subsidize the commercial.
I think it's about 75% of our city's residential, so, maybe 25 is industrial and commercial and very small percent ag.
This is only for new development.
Yeah, for new developments, yeah.
But there is a good percentage of our undeveloped land that is designated.
Yes, yep, or could be,
We want to see
sure.
that happen. So
Yep.
Council, which direction would you like to go? Looking for action?
Mayor,
Yes.
if I could just make a suggestion, this fee will get imposed for the next 6-7 years at least, probably.
Mm-hmm.
We want to make sure we get it right. If the council's wishes is to separate the fee, I would suggest maybe we go back and see how it can be sliced up with Zions Bank before you take any action.
So do you want to table or reject? I guess what would
Probably.
be
I would table.
Table it.
Yeah.
And I motion to table.
second,
I have a question. Will we have to reconvene a hearing?
Yeah.
Continue it?
Yeah, I think the proper procedure is to continue the hearing
Continue the hearing?
till the next regular session.
Okay, we have a motion to table. Any other discussion?
No.
Call for a motion to continue the public hearing rather than table.
Okay.
Okay.
To continue the
make a
public
motion
hearing.
to continue the public hearing.
Do you have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seems unanimous, okay. See, boys, we're still learning. It's good, okay. Let's move on to item 8. This is a public hearing on proposed resolution R 1904, amending Syracuse City Consolidated Fee Schedule, making changes throughout. Steve?
So there are a few updates to the fee schedule that we're proposing tonight, one of which you'll want to table now that since it's in correlation with the stormwater fees we just continued. Some other changes, there's a minor wording change to our description for the sex offender child abuse registration. That fee would not change, just the added description of child abuse in there. In the red, you'll see in your factual summation. And then we had some changes proposed to our fire fees. Most of these we talked about at the budget retreat. I'm actually going to have the chief come up and talk to it more in detail if you have questions on them. There is the narrative in the packet that describes what these fees are, why they're changing, or why we're adding them to the fee schedule.
Okay, actually, I think that we discussed that quite in depth, and unless it's not unanimous, I wouldn't want to go spend a lot of time, because I think we're unanimous on that one.
You want to make that by way of motion?
Yeah, I mean, I'll make a motion. Well, the problem is we have an incomplete motion. So I would make a motion that the changes to the fire schedule.
Yes. I didn't. Okay.
Let's do that first.
Well, yeah, you need to open it for this specific fee schedule, right? Or is it
Yeah.
a separate hearing?
Yep,
Yeah, this is a different one.
different agenda item.
Thank you, Brody. I would state that we are now in public hearing regarding amending the Syracuse Consolidated Fee Schedule, making adjustments throughout. That information was provided as part of the packet that was placed on the city website. If there are members of the community that would like to address the council on this issue, we'd invite them to come forward. Hearing and seeing none, I'll close public hearing. Now, a motion.
So with regard to the change in fire fees, there was an overwhelming acknowledgement that that needed to be done at our retreat. So I don't think we need further discussion. I think we just passed that.
Well, but there's also the other wording change for the child abuse as well.
And that one, I think, is governed by law. We have to make that change. So again, that one I'm okay with.
Instead of, I was just saying in your motion, just exempt out the fee schedule and let everything else go.
So I would make a motion that we pass this with the exempting out the fee schedule until we resolve that issue.
Do I have a second?
Fee schedule for
Stormwater.
For the stormwater.
Yeah.
second.
Council, are we clear on what the motion is?
Do I need to restate it, or are we good?
No.
Okay.
Mhm. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion stands. Okay. Council, we're at a point to discuss the authorization of an extension of the city's garbage hauling contract with Robinson Waste, and a proposed resolution. Would you like some discussion of that?
I just would like to say that as I reviewed this, and it has in there the 1-year hold rate, then increased by CPI, if there is one, in year 2 and 3, which would probably happen even if we went to a bid on this. We really like Robinson Waste Services, and I would say a bird in the hand is better than 2 in the bush, so I say we keep it.
I concur. I'd like to say that I find value not only in the cost of goods and services provided, but also in the relationships that we have with these companies. There's a value to that. Having a business of our own, we'll have people call in for a price, and they want a specific set price to be the lowest and to compete with the others. But what they don't understand is the value of the relationship with us as a business, which is we'll provide extra services for free for them because we have a relationship with them. And I think there is great, even monetary value in relationships as well. So part of what I would state to any of our citizens to stand behind my vote would be there is value in cost of goods and services as well as relationships. So I would suggest that we do not put it back up for bid, but go with the continuation of the contract.
So I'm going to speak to the other side of that argument. respectfully, I understand that there is a lot of value that you have to sell as a small business, and that works. But we're a little different situation because we represent board members to a nearly 30,000 person company, and that would be the city. So I feel like my responsibility to them is to, at a minimum, announce that the contract is up and available and accept bids. Now, I am not a guy, having been in lots of industry where bidding is a part of the job, I'm not somebody who is married to low bid. I believe that there is value. I would love to be able to go to the citizens and say, look, we value the service that's here, and that's why we're going to continue to work with the same person. But we have to be able to say that we know that the price is close to what the market it will bear. And we don't know unless we ask the market. And so I think that it's our responsibility always to advertise. A lot of businesses do depend on these contract situations, but it's not fair to a new business to say you'll never have the opportunity to bid on something because we're going to just continue with who we've had for 20 years and not allow anyone else to be a bidder. So I think we have to allow a bidder. There's the possibility nobody else would bid. That would be one way to validate it. If other people did bid, we don't have to go with the low bid. We can evaluate the service versus the price. But as we saw with our web design bid that we put out there, actually the people that I thought would have done a better job were higher in price, but the price was so different, we just couldn't justify that to the public. It was considerably higher. And we just don't know. I mean, if the bid comes in close, I would have no problem continuing. I do value the service. But I think this goes back to other public policies. It's like saying, well, I'm never going to advertise this job. I'm just going to, because that would be an insult to the person. It's not an insult. We have to advertise. I think that's our due diligence that we owe the public.
Well, I would say, with the exception to that, is the fact that we already know that we are the low cost compared to many, many cities around us. So I don't see how.
You know that is.
Right, but at the same time, if that's going to continue with only the raise of CPI, then it's going to continue to be the low bid.
No.
For the next 2 years.
So I work.
I mean.
Sorry, I'll let you finish,
But the CPI is a set indicator, and all businesses use it. There's no reason to think that he's going to gouge us for 2 years because it's based on CPI. Okay.
Okay, but I want to clarify what I'm saying. The reason we don't know that he's the lowest price is because the prices that we looked at were only for contracts that he holds. We did not
No,
get.
that is not the case. He only hauls for 2 other cities, and we're still below those 2 other cities as well. Plus many other cities which are by other companies were on that list as well.
There are all kinds of cities around us that were not provided on that list. We do not know the rate. That was not given to us.
It was at the last.
Chair recognizes Councilman Savage.
Thank you. So I work for an engineering firm that does a lot of government contracts and federal government contracts. And as part of that, at a federal level, we are required to get at least 2 bids on every single contract we do. Because of just single source is not a great option. Admittedly, this is for parts and some services, but the nice thing is, at the end of the day, we can always justify that we have the best cost and that we have options. And at the city level, we don't have the same restrictions, so we are perfectly within our rights to award this to Robinson Waste, who has done a phenomenal job, I would like to say. Thank you for your amazing service to our citizens and our city in general. On that same note, I do feel there is a benefit to going out for bid and letting him, again, show us exactly how good he is. And I absolutely believe that I will pay more for quality any day of the week.
Sure.
And I think that that actually gives him a leg up in that area because he has demonstrated that exact kind of quality. I would recommend him to any city that comes and talks to us. At the same time, in order for me to go back and say, I have the best price for the service, I have to be able to say that I actually know that. All I know is that we have a great company giving us a good price. I don't know if it's the best price. I don't even know what other companies are out there because we didn't ask. And so that's my one concern. I will support this, but I want it known that I would have preferred to have gotten a second, at least a second or third proposal just for comparative sake.
Councilman Peterson, would you like to weigh in on this?
Yeah, so I agree with going with a proven provider, but I also agree with what you guys are saying about you owe it to the citizens to go out to bid. However, when I look at this, we are not signing a new contract. We are extending the previous contract, which was allowed for in that contract if the service was good and both parties agreed to it. So I feel like a 3-year extension on this is valued, it's prudent, it's fiscally responsible, and then in 3 years, my understanding now is then the contract's over. There's no provision for another extension
Is that accurate? Or are we just going to come back and say, let's extend it again? Because that perpetuity is the real concern, because that's where you get the good old boy contract negotiations where nobody ever goes out to bid.
And I can agree with that.
Well, and in that case, can we make a provision that when the 3 years extension has completed, that it does go up for bid?
But 3 years from now could be a new council. They could just say no.
But if and that would be their decision. I mean, that we can't control what happens in the future any more than they could control what happened with our council.
You're right.
But if you look at the record,
That's why I say that the value is not just what the bid shows, but also the service and the relationship with the company. And I want to go on record as stating there is just as much value in having had tremendous service from a company as in seeing what the numbers show, which are in our favor as well.
Council, having heard all of the arguments, I'd call the question and looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we adopt Resolution R19-05, authorizing the extension of the city's garbage hauling contract with Robinson Waste for 3 years.
I second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I will be opposing this, but it has nothing to do with Robinson Waste. It has to do with procedure. My belief is we owe it to the people to act differently. So I don't want that to be, I want that said, it has not a reflection of the person or the company. It's a reflection of procedure that I think we should follow.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I hear 3. All opposed?
Nay?
There are actually 4. Jordan did as well.
4 to 1, okay. Did you get that, Cassie? 4 to 1, okay. For the benefit of the public, we're to a point where we will again open this to public comment. If there's something that has stirred your soul while we've been discussing this, we would love to hear from you. If you'd come forward and state your name and place of residence, we'd love to hear from you. Hearing and seeing none, I'll close public comment. Council, we're at announcements from the council. I'd like to start down with Councilwoman Bingham.
No announcements.
Councilman Savage.
All right, so CERT is starting up next Wednesday, February 20th at 6:30. This, in light of our new rapid disaster assessment program, CERT is even more imperative to our city because they will be shouldering some of the burden of some of those search and rescue efforts. And I can just not emphasize enough the importance of CERT and just the community being able to rapidly recover from a disaster. So everyone, come on out.
Will you
it'll be at the
state
fire
what CERT
station.
stands for
Community Emergency Response Team. So these are the guys that are going to come and save all of our bacon after the disaster in conjunction with the first responders in our city. So I want to give them the credit that they're due. But we will be, they work hand in hand with them to try and make sure that we can recover as quickly as possible. There will be the guys out there doing the smaller things that the firemen and police just can't get to on an immediate basis. They'll be maybe doing some search and rescue efforts, helping to extricate people, and it's really a great program. You will learn how to put out fires, you will learn search and rescue, you will learn first aid, you'll learn family preparedness, you will learn the organization that takes place during a disaster, and it is just an all-around good time.
Thank you.
Where's it going to be?
Fire station. Wednesday, fire station, 6:30. It is a 7-week course. There's a commitment. FEMA requires 24 hours of training. So it's a long course, but it's a good one.
Thank you, Jordan. Councilman Peterson?
I have no announcements.
Councilwoman Bolduc?
Just need to clarify with Noah, is there a planning commission meeting next week? Yes. There is, okay. For some reason, I didn't have that on my calendar. So, okay. And then I need to just ask the council to let me know how to represent all of you at the ULCT. So please respond to the reports that I write so that I'm not just voting for myself. Okay, that would be appreciated. And there's no meeting this coming Monday, though, by the way, for ULTC. There will be, for whatever, it's because it's President's Day. So they are withholding till 2 weeks from, or another week from there.
Thank you, Corinne. Thank you for your work there, too. David?
I was also on the ULCT call, and I just added my comments to Paul's comments. Not too much said there. I do have the announcement that February 23rd, please mark your calendars. February 23rd will be the orchestra with guests performing the Pirates of Penzance in concert. It is free to the public, Saturday night. What a great thing to do. So, it's only free to the first 1,100 people, so don't be late.
Do you have a time, Dave?
What time?
Yes, 7 o'clock,
7?
Syracuse High School Auditorium. And that is, there is a lot of work going into that. I think we really need to support this one. It will be fun.
Mayor, I have one other thing. On the week of the 25th of February, that Monday, I will be out of town if we want to send another one of our alternates to the ULCT. Okay, thank you.
Is somebody available?
I can join the call. I won't be able to be there in person.
All right.
And I'll be there from now on Mondays.
Okay.
So I was just busy on those last 2.
And
No worries.
Paul, you and Brody are also tag teaming that too, aren't you? We're probably okay. We're probably okay. Okay, council, the only thing I have is something that I newly discovered today. There is a veterans group that is going to recognize veterans in this first recognition from 1945 to the end of the Second World War until about 1964 or 65, somewhere in that group. They're calling it Cold War heroes, those who fought to preserve the sovereignty of this nation through that Cold War period. It is being led by a gentleman by the name of Larry Kerr. There will be, on March 29th, in our community center, 40 or 50 veterans of that period will be honored by this veterans group. And they mentioned, Cresta, that they have already reserved the classrooms for that. Are you familiar with this? This is not new. So if you want to put that on your schedule.
Say that date again.
March 29th. And did you get a time, Brody? I don't think we were given one. Seems, yeah, something like that. It was that we'd make you aware of that. Brody, do you have information you need to share?
Yes, I did send out the manager's report today. One item that I think you should be aware of, if you recall, we did order a new fire engine recently, a transport engine, and it was constructed, and it was
On its way.
beautiful and on its way, and it was involved in an accident in Colorado.
Oh, you're kidding.
So we are currently sifting through the contract because there's all kinds of issues because of that. But we do have functioning fire engines, so no need to worry about that. But we still have 2 in service. This was just going to be a new one to replace our older one. So there will be a delay in that. It had to get transported back to Wisconsin. And we'll be sorting out the contract issues and try to get it here as soon as we can.
We already accepted delivery of
No, no.
Okay, excellent.
No, we don't accept delivery till it actually gets to Syracuse, and they made it to Colorado, so
So
not
it's
quite.
not our problem, it's theirs.
Their insurance
Okay,
is,
I had a couple other items. One, I have asked for this before, but on a future item, I think that we really need to start planning our launch party for the island that will be ready. If there's not more than 2 members that want to be a part of that discussion, then we could do it in a task force, but I think we ought to all take it on if we want to be there. Because I think that's a big deal that we have a launch for that. We have to recognize, we have to do our due diligence to recognize those who were big donors and helped us achieve that.
Agreed.
So the other item that I had is we had a discussion before about the R1 cluster, and I thought that we arrived at a point where we were going to remove cluster from R1 and make that a separate zone, a cluster zone, but I didn't see it on the agenda, so I'm just asking again that we do that.
Yeah, it'll be on a future agenda, possibly this upcoming one or March. We've got a lot on the February agenda work session.
Okay, well, our agendas sometimes are small, so I'm asking about some of the other items. That's it.
If we're asking for agenda items, I'd
Yes.
also like to discuss the potential adding another hawk signal on actually just out here that would give access, that would be create another path to both the library, the splash pad, and all those things. Some type of crosswalk or safer zone for a mid-block crossing, like a hawk signal, that would allow the crossing the street to get over to from the fast food and the restaurants and those types of things back and forth to the splash pad, facilitate the safety of the community, make it more walkable, to use Noah's term.
That's a great idea, and I think that may even take the pressure off people trying to cross at 2000 and Antelope, because they could come down to a less trafficked area to do that when the kids are out of school.
So that would end up on, I believe, in talking with Brody, that would end up on a transportation, like a roads type budgeting plan.
Yeah, it would be. I'm not sure if that would be something that would be impact fee related, but it would either be capital or something in our roads budget.
I would just like to put that on our 5-year plan to try and budget that in.
Okay.